Hello everyone and welcome to an Outlast Trials dive into the lore of Clyde Perry, the self-proclaimed janitor for Murkoff Corporation, field agent for the collections department, and later director of historical refinement. I'd love to hear everyone's thoughts and opinions on the subject, and of course, if I miss anything, feel free to comment down below, but without any further delays, let's talk about what we know of Clyde Perry. Not much is known of Clyde Perry and his early life. Nothing is mentioned of his life as a child, nor anything is mentioned on his rising of the ranks within Murkoff. However, he does in later parts of his career refer to Dr. Easterman as a goat rope. Goat rope refers to a confusing, disorganized situation, often attributed to or marked by human error, and is an unusual term that isn't used by many. It's a turn of phrase commonly used in military backgrounds and circles, and thus, it's assumed that he served in the US Marines at some point in his life. He may have climbed the ranks or, after serving, perhaps moved on to working for agencies like the FBI or CIA, which could have led to his involvement with Murkoff. Clyde Perry is seen as a very competent worker when he arrives as a member of the collections department for Murkoff. He gives off a very to-the-point personality, as Dr. Easterman wants him to learn more about prime assets and their context of that which he'll be hunting and surveying. But Clyde Perry doesn't need to know the details, just who they're looking for, as all he's read of these books are the titles seemingly agitating Dr. Easterman enough to at least request that he read After the Catastrophe by Carl Jung. Being a field agent, he's incredibly hands-on and seemingly a lone wolf type, as it could be assumed field agents doing such an incredibly dangerous task would have a partner, or at least backup, but Clyde is never seen with anyone, and only calls for help in one situation with Franco Barbie. His dedication to his work is shown as early as his comic with Leyland Coyle, as though he suffers serious injuries after being caught in his lies and as such is beaten to a pulp. He has 2 broken fingers, bruising, and is urinating blood. With only a week's recovery, he seems willing to return to the field. This later dedication continues, as after suffering from his last prime asset encounter being Franco Barbie, he proceeds to get bludgeoned in the head along with receiving a gunshot wound to his leg, requiring skull surgery and leg reconstruction. The only reason he deems this potentially being his last operation, though, is solely because the doctors say his mobility will be limited for the near future. He isn't worried about his life, just his efficiency in doing his job. All of this further proves he has a military background, but with his efficiency in collecting information, it could prove that he also has experience in being an agent, even prior to Murkoff. My theory would be more of the CIA, with MK Ultra being a huge reason for Project Lathe even existing. MK Ultra being about torture and interrogation methods, which, with Clyde Perry's encounter with Damon Green, this proves he has no problems with such tasks, though he only shows minimum success when attempting interrogations. Clyde Perry interrogates Doris as well with greater success, and uses a bit more tactics using fear instead of violence by using an X-Pop. Using her fear of the trials against her, he is able to actually reveal information where he seems to lose his patience with Damon Green very quickly and cuts straight to violence, which could be a reason why the CIA wasn't for him. He shows signs of being a man who revels in violence, as skilled in information gathering as he may be. A file that proves either his efficiency, his love of violence, or perhaps both, is his task on surveying reagent 0946. He follows this reagent, witnessing their erratic behavior. Clyde Perry silences this past reagent by shooting them 6 times in the head and chest, which could be seen as excessive along with garroting them. Generally, those who are under a copious amount of drugs can be difficult to neutralize, but the reagents seemed just mentally unwell, most likely due to their time in Signala, making his actions peculiar. After recovering from his encounter with Franco, he does eventually retire from the collections department and files a request to transfer. He seeks reassignment and states he's still committed to the Murkoff Corporation and the good work that they are doing, and he remains unwavering, wanting to remain of use to the cause. He most likely sees working with Murkoff as patriotic, being former military, agency, or both. Due to this, he becomes as seen in Mount Massive Hospital in Outlast 1, the director of historical refinement from 1959 to 1961. Though we soon find out that this short term as director is not due to moving within the company or retirement, but his final encounter in Signala, which we'll talk about later in the video. We can also see, along with the comics, his two noticeable eye colors, which could be presumed to be a glass eye, but that seems unlikely. He has two different eye colors all the way back in the Leyland Coil comic, so this is not a part of his skull injury from Franco, unless it's a war injury, and even if it was, why would he want a mismatched glass eye and not a similar darker color, especially in his line of work where being inconspicuous would be a much better choice? It's more likely heterochromia, a condition at birth. Returning on the subject of his final encounter in Signala, he doesn't face a prime asset, but a highly intelligent reagent, Amelia. Though not without her own injuries to show for it, tricks Clyde Perry into stepping on a blind mine, to which she strikes him with a brick, causing him to fall onto the shuttle tracks, where he is then bisected. As he lay there, Dr. Easterman approaches the aftermath where Clyde Perry is still alive. They exchange words with Dr. Easterman applauding Clyde as a good rat catcher, Clyde wondering how he's going to get him out, to which Clyde is shocked to hear Dr. Easterman doesn't plan to. Dr. Easterman sees Clyde as a threat, as he knows too much about the security breach of Amelia. Whether this is Dr. Easterman's paranoia or the truth, it's safe to say it's more the latter, as Clyde Perry seems more shocked by this information than anything. Clyde Perry is seemingly killed around 1960, April 24th, based off the document, and it even states that he will continue to hold his title until such time as a publicly acceptable cause of death has been designed and released to his surviving family. This cover-up is obviously to save face for Project Lathe, but it shows that in 1961 something comes up giving them a chance to remove him from the position, either by stating he dies a year later, or a spontaneous retirement. There are theories that he could perhaps return, that Dr. Easterman could use him as a prime asset, but for me personally, I find that very unlikely for multiple reasons. The main reason being he was bisected, bleeding out, and the only one there to seemingly save him was Dr. Easterman, who clearly wants to cover up this mishap. The second reason is that he is not a prime asset. He shows no signs of charisma and is in fact the very opposite. He is a capable soldier, rat catcher, janitor, but to him he's the hammer and the world is full of nails. It's just that during his work with the prime assets in Amelia, the nails were much stronger than the hammer. That is all the time that I have, but in the meantime, let me know your thoughts and theories as I'd love to hear them. Let me know if I missed any details, and don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date on future videos. Some videos being Let's Plays, some being these lore and theory videos that will be posted at least once a week. Don't be afraid to let me know some other subjects you'd be interested in seeing either, and hopefully, I see you all in the next video. See you then.